Google just released their annual report in which they tell us the number of ad accounts they suspended last year, the number of ads they disapproved, and some high-level info about how they are enforcing their policies on the ad network. And there's some very interesting things in here. So I'm going to go through this, show you what Google is saying, and also give you some feedback from the front lines. Because here at StubGroup, we have an entire team that's focused just on Google compliance with Google's policies and helping advertisers fix suspensions and ad disapprovals and things like that. And so we have a front row seat to how things are actually being enforced. So let's jump in. First of all, Google is saying that they are blocking ads with greater precision, and they are specifically referencing Gemini and saying that Gemini, an AI, is helping them to catch ads before these ads even get into their system. So historically, the way it would work is you create an ad with Google, and sometimes they would say, hey, this ad is violating a policy, you can't move forward. But more often what would happen is you'd create the ad, and then it would go under review, and the system would come back maybe 12 hours later, a day or whatever, and say, oh, there's a problem with it. Or sometimes it would actually be eligible, it'd start serving, and then Google would flag it and say there's a problem. And so what Google is saying here is that much more often, now they're saying I think 99% of the time is the number they gave, they are essentially stopping an ad from even getting into their system. And we have certainly seen changes where it's much more often now where if you create an ad that Google's going to have an issue with, where they will immediately, before the ad even gets into the system, when you try to save it, they will say, hey, this is not compliant with our policies for X reason. So for example, I've seen situations where Google thought a website was compromised, that maybe had been hacked, and you try and create an ad for that website, and Google throws up a message basically saying, hey, you can't move forward, this ad is disapproved automatically because of the compromise in the website. So that rings true in terms of them saying that they are more frequently stopping ads before they even get into the system. Google also says they are working faster than scammers, and specifically they said that they're able to process user feedback, so people actually reporting problematic ads to Google more efficiently, which helped our teams, their reporting says, to take action on more than 4 times as many user reports in 2025 than in the year prior. Now, I can't verify or validate that data. Obviously, I don't have access to Google's data. What I will say is, unfortunately, I still see many situations where user reporting of ads that violate policies are not being referenced by Google. Nothing's happening to those ads. And I'll give you a live example right now. So we have a client that sells kimonos, and they have a competitor that for this point years has been in their product titles in Google Shopping saying that their product is silk. Here's a great example. Right here it says it's a silk robe. But if we actually go to that product page, you will see that it's not actually a silk robe. It is not to get too technical here, but it is a high quality polyester charmeuse that feels like natural silk, but is not natural silk. Well, why does this matter? Well, when these types of things happen, the price point for this product is much lower than an actual silk product. And so it looks very appealing to people who think it's silk because that's what the product title says in Google Shopping. They click through, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not trying to call out this specific advertiser, but I am calling Google out a little bit in that we have reported this many, many times to Google. I've personally talked to Google reps multiple times about this, and they've said, yeah, this doesn't look right, et cetera, but no action ever gets taken. And so again, this is just one anecdotal example, but I would say that Google's system still has a long way to go in terms of truly enforcing its policies and actually taking the right action when users report issues with their policies. Google also says that they have reduced incorrect advertiser suspensions by 80%. Now, that's a big number. And the numbers that we'll go through in a minute here are down in terms of how many ad accounts Google is saying that they have suspended. I will say again, from personal experience, we are still seeing many, many ad accounts that are incorrectly suspended. We have businesses reaching out to us constantly saying, hey, we're legit, we're not violating Google's policies, we're trying to do what's right, and we got suspended for various reasons. And we fix those issues, get accounts unsuspended all the time. Hopefully Google is truthful in saying that they are doing less of this incorrect suspending, but again, there's still a long way to go from what we can see at our vantage point. Now let's dig into some very specific data here. So Google has reported the exact number, again, of ads blocked and advertiser accounts suspended. Google is saying that they, in 2025, suspended 24.9 million plus advertiser accounts. In 2024, they said they suspended 39.2 million advertiser accounts. So obviously that is a decrease and a significant decrease. in suspensions. On the ad side of things, in 2024, they said they removed over 5.1 billion advertisements and restricted over 9.1 billion. And then in 2025, we see that number of ads blocked or removed increasing up to 8.3, and the number of restricted ads actually decreasing down to 4.8 billion. So some very interesting changes. Now, there's some nuance to that. So this year, Google actually gave us country level data to say how many ad accounts they suspended in various countries. And I went ahead and put all this data together so you don't have to. They reported data for 14 countries, including the US, the UK, and a number of other countries. And when you add up the number of ad accounts Google is reporting suspended for these 14 different countries, you get a total of 11,335,000 suspensions. That is actually a little bit less than half of the total number of suspensions that Google's reporting for last year of 24.9 million. So that does beg the question, where is this other 12 plus million accounts coming from? What other countries is Google not reporting these coming from, and why? It's kind of curious, kind of interesting. And I don't know why there's such a big gap between, again, these top 14 countries and then all the others that must be out there. But that's the data we have here. Now, the US in particular, which is where I'm based, and so I'm always interested to see what's going on in the US. Google's reporting 3.3 million ad accounts suspended. I'll go ahead and pull up that report right here. So 3.3 million ad accounts suspended, 1.7 billion ads removed. So I wanted to compare this to what Google said in 2024 for the US, but it's kind of a weird data thing in Google's numbers for 2024, because in 2024, they reported, again, 39.2 million ad accounts suspended overall. This is their overall report. But then when you go down to the country level enforcement insights and you look at the United States, they report that exact same number there, 39.2 million. Even though if you go to other countries, like the United Kingdom, for example, they do report more, 1.1 million. So something is off with the data Google gave us for 2024. I don't know if the US number is wrong or the total number is wrong. One of them was wrong. I'm going to guess that the US number was wrong and that the US number actually was lower than 39.2 that they're saying that it was here. But that's speculation because I don't have access to Google's internal data. All that being said, clearly there were fewer ad accounts suspended in 2025 than 2024. And in theory, that's because of Google's AI enforcement tools. Now, an important caveat, 2024, we saw the number of ad accounts massively increase compared to previous years. So basically, we have a bit of this graph where it was kind of going like this. 2024, it went whoop, and then 2025, we got a bit of a drop. And it'll be interesting to see where we end up for 2026. All this data is fascinating. I appreciate that Google is so intent on keeping their ecosystem clean, on enforcing their policies, and keeping scammers and bad actors off the platform. And at the same time, I will say there's still a lot of work to do, still lots of incorrect suspensions and flaggings and issues going on. It is still difficult to work through Google's systems, their appeal systems, to get incorrect decisions removed or to say, hey, we fixed a problem, please let us back on. It's still a lot of work involved that our team has to do in helping advertisers with that. It's a process. Every day is a new day, and I hope Google continues trying to make strides to keep their ecosystem as safe as possible. And if you have any policy issues yourself that you need fixed, or you want to make sure you don't get into hot water with Google, we'd love to help. Here's StubGroup. Reach out through StubGroup.com and let's chat.